Today for your reading task, you're going to be continuing to focus on comprehension skills. So this links well with what you looked at last week for literal, inferential and evaluative questions. So today you will have a comprehension activity set for each of your groups. So they're all different. So I'll talk about general comprehension strategies that we can use when we're solving these. So when we're looking at a piece of text and we know we're going to have to answer questions on it, this is what's called a comprehension, and comprehension is just sort of a test of our understanding. And comprehension questions can be any type of questions, ranging right from our remembering, our simple ones, right up to our creating questions that we can do as well. When you are reading a comprehension piece, the best thing to do is first of all just to read the text. Read it, take your time, read it over. Then once you've done that, go and look at the questions. Read the questions and start to have a think about the types of information it's looking for. Then go back to your text and read it again. It's probably best to do this more than once, so I would maybe read your text a total of 3, maybe 4 times before you start looking at the questions. What you then do is you take the first question and you look in at what it's meaning. You think, right, okay, what information do I need to find out to answer this question? And then once you have done that, you go back to your text, and because you've read it a few times, you should have a clue where the information is. At this point, if you have printed the piece of text, I would use a highlighter or a pen to kind of underline it. But if you're working on the computer, obviously just do your best. You could highlight on the computer or something, or take notes down on a piece of paper. Once you've kind of identified the part of information that you need, you then think carefully about how you're going to structure your answer. When we're answering comprehension questions, we don't use just one word. So I shouldn't be saying one word answers. If, for example, the answer to the question was, or there was a question, what type of bird is mentioned in the text, and say the answer was a crow, you would say a crow was mentioned in the text. You would put it into a full sentence. So for all of your comprehension answers, they should be in full sentences. Now that's a really simple remembering question. Sometimes you might need to then move up to those higher order thinking skills, so those inferential, evaluative questions that we looked at last week. Now some of the information for those will be in the text, but we learned last week that sometimes we have to go in between the lines and beyond the lines. So that's really, really good practice to help us solve our comprehension questions this week. They're not split up to say which type of question is which one, which is why it's important you need to look at the question carefully and think really carefully before you start to try and answer what it is actually asking you. A lot of people tend to just read the text, read the questions and scribble things down, and that is just not good enough in P6. I need to be seeing your answer and then your evidence and then your explanation for those harder evaluative inferential questions. So the pieces of comprehension work that I've set you have got guidelines on them. Now you obviously do not need to print that out and use it, but it does give you a good idea of the level of detail that's expected for each question. If, for example, a question has got 2 lines underneath it, you kind of get the thought that, okay, I don't need to write too much, it's just 1 sentence. Whereas if you've got space for a paragraph, that is indicating that you need to sort of bring maybe 2 things together, or use evidence in the text, or go beyond the text to incorporate your own opinions. So just review that one more time. When you open your comprehension document, you're going to read over the text. Then you're going to look at the questions, try and work out what the questions are asking, and then go back and read the text, preferably 2 or more times again. Once you've done that, start taking your questions one by one. Look at the question, first one, what is it asking? Where will I find the information? Go to the text and find where it says it, and then put it in your own words, making sure you're using full sentences at all times. So this is applying all of those hot skills that we've been learning this year, and especially our literal, inferential and evaluative questions that we learned about last week. So this week there are some extension activities there for you. There are some reading challenge cards, and there is also the rest of the ebook from last week on Raider's Peril. So this week there are 4 more chapters for you to read to keep up with the story. So that's your extension tasks for today.